to The Culture Shift with Jaraz and Jovan, Be the Change, our podcast sub-series aimed at highlighting those making impactful strides in the growing prison and criminal justice reform movement, brought to you by Black Enterprise. Today, we get a chance to kick off our inaugural series with Chauncey Big Hit Hollis Sr., the father of Grammy Award-winning producer Hit Boy. He was recently released from prison from serving an unlawful sentence. Joining him is Chloe Cheyenne, the founder and CEO of the digital activist platform COMMUNITYx, who aided in Chauncey's release. Welcome. How are you both feeling?
1 million.
Good. Chauncey, I know you are really fresh on the heels of your release from an unlawful sentence. So what's been your focus and aim these days?
I'm just directed on this music right now, locked in on this music. That's it, sis.
Mm-hmm. And you are the father of Grammy Award-winning producer Hit Boy. How do you feel about your son's success, and were there any early signs that he was headed for a successful career in music?
Absolutely. Yeah, I mean, of course I'm ecstatic about the situation. I've been telling him for years before all this, like, you the one, Yeah, everything is like, it's no surprise to me, as far as his success goes and his talent. It was displayed way back then, and I'm quite sure like real soon they'll see that it's in the DNA.
Mm-hmm. Yes, definitely. So this here, it's a part of my podcast with Black Enterprise called the Culture Shift, but it's a new series I'm starting, Be the Change, where we really focus on prison reform and criminal justice reform initiatives as it relates to the growing movement. So when your story came across to me, it was just like, wow, this is definitely tied into what I'm wanting to target, I'm passionate about, and wanting to raise more awareness on the Black enterprise side. So with you, what can you tell us about your story as it relates to your 2014 conviction and how it led to an unlawful prison sentence?
Oh man. Well, basically, I would just say it was just money driven. You know what I'm saying? They just disregarded natural justice, period. And Richard Kirshner, the judge, he was biased from the beginning. He knew he was biased. He knew I recognized his biasness. I tried to recuse him. He still refused to get off the case. Despite the all the blatant evidence showing his biasness, but it was more than him. It was just kangaroo court. Everybody was entangled in together, like, as far as the prosecutor and my lawyers. Some people, a lot of people get it confused, thinking that, okay, the DA, he's most definitely against you, and your lawyer is most definitely for you, but they're both all up under that same private guild. You know what I'm saying? They all take that same private oath, you know what I'm saying? And it's only so much they can do, and they all protect themselves. That's all, they all in the same family. Ultimately, if the judge wants you bad enough in the system, period, they all play that, they play that role. It's all a dog and pony show, But and ultimately they already know what they're gonna do, So yeah, and it's all they just disregard justice, period. If they want you, they gonna do everything possible as far as break the laws that they made, and they don't care. I see right now they don't care about their job, and basically because the things they're doing is all exposed, and they still doing it. Regardless, they let it be known, like, yeah, we above the law.
And from your personal experience with judges like Judge Kirshner, you mentioned bias on his part, even with some of the lawyers that you thought would be defending you. What do you think is at the root of that bias?
Oh, money, guaranteed. I mean, it was all about cash. I could have been home. I could have pled guilty, to some in $14 million, a restitution, I guess, not even a restitution, a direct payment to the family and to the lawyers, and they always gonna get a split out of that 14 million. There's gonna lawyers getting half, and then the victims getting half, and the lawyer would have split it to the DA and the judge. You know what I'm saying? And I was so cool with the lawyer. He slipped and let me know. You know what I'm saying? This is what's happening, because he was under the impression that I was gonna bite into that deal, you know what I'm saying, and actually sign an affidavit against my son. It wasn't about me. When they found out, they looking at I'm around all these rich people, whatever, Jay and Puff and my son or whatever, but I didn't have the bread. And when they figured it out, they're like, okay, well, fuck it, we're gonna get your son. Excuse my language, but yeah, okay, won't you help us get, him? If you want to be free, we can release you right now, today. Just sign this affidavit saying that he, willingly, knowingly, gave you the keys to the car because the car was his. So yeah, they just wanted the money. It was all about the dollars.
So now we know, Chloe, your COMMUNITYx platform partially helped aid in Chauncey's release. And so tell us about your platform. Tell us about COMMUNITYx and the role you played with Chauncey's case.
Yeah, so COMMUNITYx is what we call a hub for impact. And if you go to communityx.com, you'll see that it's a complete toolkit for any cause, any person anywhere in the world that wants to make a change around an issue, they can. We combine the technology of change.org, GoFundMe, Eventbrite, and Instagram into one platform that allows people to build digital calls to action and campaigns around issues like Mr. Hollis. And so when his son, Chauncey Jr., reached out to me, my immediate instinct was, I want to do whatever I can to support him in this case and to help as he's fighting for justice. But as I've said before in all of these other interviews, as you get to know Mr. Hollis and you hear him speak, you'll understand very quickly how brilliant he is, how self-motivated he is. And it's those characteristics about him that really paved the way for him to be released and for him to be free right now. So
definitely. And what was the inspiration behind launching COMMUNITYx?
Well, so I'm from Hyde Park, the south side of Chicago. My dad was shot over 12 times by Chicago police in a case of mistaken identity. Similar to Mr. Hollis's case, my dad had done nothing wrong. He was completely innocent. He was at home getting ready to work a night shift, and Chicago police raided my grandmother's townhome and opened fire on my dad, only to realize that they had the wrong address. They planted drugs in his bedroom. They physically assaulted him after shooting him, and they didn't call an ambulance in hopes that my dad would just die. And so my mom, who was his girlfriend at the time, was hiding in the home. She came out, rushed him to an ambulance, and doctors miraculously were able to save his life. But I spent the first 13 years of my life fighting for justice for my own father. He was going through a full physical recovery. He had to learn how to walk again, eat on his own, and he was also facing 20 plus years in prison for something he didn't do. And so it's those experiences that drive me and make me really passionate about wanting to help others.
Most definitely. And now with running COMMUNITYx, how often are you seeing cases like Chauncey's, like your dad's, where people are seeking help to gain support around instances like this?
Well, we get new cases every day, and unfortunately, the cases are heavily skewed towards racial injustice issues like police brutality, like mass incarceration. And so, yeah, I mean, we just helped with a campaign to get Paul Rusesabagina, who's the real life Hotel Rwanda hero, freed from Rwandan prison. So we're dealing with causes not only here in the US, but all around the world. Everything from immigration to police brutality, women's rights, you name it.
Front lines, front lines. And we know issues of criminal injustice are so rampant and deep rooted. You're talking globally, but you know, here in America, it's very deep rooted in the judicial system. Chauncey, from your experience, who or what would you say are at the root of the problem when it comes to criminal injustice?
Oh, I mean, this country was founded on, you know, what I'm saying, just the racial. At first, I mean, it's racial biasness, but it got deeper than that because they start, you know, we wasn't allowed to be in a situation, police or whatever, Congress or whatever. But now they done brainwashed us so much. I call it, I mean, because we should have had our own separate system, you know what I'm saying, as far as the police and our own Congress and all that shit. Just like, you know, we the only people that ain't got no our own embassy or no. We don't got nobody to run to. You don't hear about no Russians getting rushed, killed. You don't hear about no Asians, you know, no Chinese getting killed by the police because they got an embassy to go. They got, you know, they gonna be held accountable for. Only thing respect is that money. You know what I'm saying? But yeah, I mean, it's all about it's for sure racially driven, but it got deeper than that where it's all about the dollars.
Right.
You know, and they all got, you know, like I say, they're up on a private guild. They all is together is really with the lawyers, the DAs, the judges. They all take that private oath. You know what I'm saying? And then they take that public oath with both. It contradicts with each other. That's, you know, and so, you know, it's all like money. I used to tell the judge, man, are you getting a percentage? Or you have a vested interest in this case? No, I'm not going to answer that. Okay, well, it's safe to say that, you know, you're biased because you're getting a percentage of the conviction. When I'm convicted and go to jail, we put on the stock market, you get a part of that, you know, you getting some of them dollars. So I wanted you to recuse yourself, and I'm not going to do that, you know, and, you know, step down and abandon the bench a couple times, and I still sit there, and he just, you know, a lot of people don't know you don't have to go by their rules and regulations. You got to speak up and speak on record, you know, let the record reflect. And that's what I was doing. They wasn't about, he was slamming the gavel. Oh, we're going to put this off to next month. This is adjourned. No, it's not adjourned. Let the record reflect that this, and this, you know what I'm saying? This dude's biased, this and that, and you got to speak. And the people are still typing. He'd get up and walk away. I'm still talking. He'd get mad and put his hat and roll back on and come back and talk. Oh, let the record reflect I didn't abandon the bench. It's deep, you know, so it's, yeah, but basically that's.
No, you're shedding a lot of light on what's going on. And Chloe, now from your global view of issues of criminal justice, what would you say is at the root of the problem?
Well, I think actually looking back at America, you know, we're a company founded on capitalism and slavery, as Mr. Hollis was referencing. And so I think that's always, whatever system you're looking at, the educational system, the healthcare system, policing, whatever it is, every single institution built in this country, it succeeds because of those two things continuing to exist. And so while the ways that they've manifest have evolved over time, they're very much still apparent, and the effects of these systems are still very much being felt by people like Mr. Hollis, by families all across this country. And I'd say, you know, it's the criminal justice system is horrific in so many ways, but again, as I've said again multiple times today, what it has done is created paralegals out of Black and brown men and women in this country because, as Mr. Hollis is saying, we have no other agency. And so we have to advocate for ourselves. And that's exactly what Mr. Hollis has done. Literally, if it wasn't for his own perseverance and will and self-motivation, he would still be in prison today.
And then what we see, especially here in America, we have some of the highest recidivism rates in the world, where almost 44% of the formerly incarcerated are ending up back in prison within a year, their first year out. And this question is for both of you. What do you think is a main cause of the high recidivism rates in America? Chauncey, you can go first.
I mean, I feel it's opportunities, in the blocking that they do. They put there's really no opportunity. I mean, everybody, of course, America, you got all the opportunity in the world. Everybody get to play the hand they was dealt, and it's chess pieces. Everybody get to, they right the move, but it's not the same, man. When we don't play by their rules. We the only people that don't look out for each other. You know what I'm saying? Like the Mexicans, they got a rule. The Jews, all of them, they don't spend no money outside of their community. You know what I'm saying? We don't offer the same offer, opportunities as those people. So, and it's not no rehabilitation in jail. You know what I'm saying? It's not about rehabilitation. You go in there and you become you just become a smarter criminal. You know what I'm saying? How to do it better. You know what I'm saying? You be really blinded thinking, oh, I'm gonna get out and do it like this and that. I done did shit all my life. You know what I'm saying? So, and you get used to that fast money and you get blinded, and they stick you in these institutions thinking it's gonna change you, but it's not. So you jump out there and we targeted. We got targets, you know what I'm saying? Other people don't get harassed and targeted and profiled like we do.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Chloe, did you want to add anything?
I agree with everything Mr. Hollis just shared. And I just think, reflecting on his case and the others that we've worked on in my own life, it really just feels like especially if you're Black in this country, you almost have to be a superhero to be able to live a long and happy and prosperous life. You have to be insanely good at something and have a really great career that pulls you, out of the hood or out of whatever town you're from. You have to have this insane amount of willpower that can pull you through the most depressing of situations. You have to be above and beyond in order to just live a basic life. That's the challenge that we're faced with as Black people in this country. And so Mr. Hollis is a complete exception. As I've just said, he's a total exception, because if he didn't have those exceptional qualities about him, he would still be in prison today.
Definitely. All right. So when it comes to actual rehabilitation within the prison system, I know from personal experience with my 3 brothers who have all served time, oftentimes those incarcerated or inmates are not receiving any treatment or assistance when it comes to mental health, counseling, even just mindfulness activities while completing their sentence. That can just kind of help them individually, help the community that's in this institution, help the COs, help everybody. Are these, Chauncey, in your experience, are these things that you think could be a benefit to actually rehabilitating someone and lowering recidivism rates?
Well, yes and no. For certain people, ultimately it's the individual, and ultimately it's the individual. If you really feel like, a lot of dudes feel like it's not a benefit to them, you know what I'm saying? Because, in the higher facilities, we didn't get the action anyway. We like, what we gonna go over here and get this for? Because we don't get action at it anyway. What we gonna complete it for when we don't get the credit for it? You know what I'm saying? So it's like, I'm not even tripping on that no more. You're just walking the yard, working out and doing whatever you need to do, you know what I'm saying? And so, yeah, a lot of dudes already accepted, like, I'm gonna die in prison. They lost all hope. But, and then they coming with some new programs now, yeah, so a lot of people is entering into them, and a lot of people's getting out, whatever's going on has been working, so,
Do you know what type of programs they are?
No, I ain't gonna lie. I wasn't one of the ones that was doing it. You know what I'm saying? I was
Okay.
totally just against the system, period. I had an attitude like F everybody. I'm strictly, I wasn't trying to get released through they program. I knew they was getting money through these programs too. That's the thing too. The only reason they do got those programs because they getting dollars out of it. You know what I'm saying? Everything from the COVID tests and all this shit. They forcing it on you. Because they getting $100 every COVID test. So they put a rehearsal down where trying to force you, to do a COVID test, give you a benefit to do a COVID test, yeah, getting vaccines and all that stuff. Everything's about the dollars ultimately.
And so we see, especially now, we see many movements for different groups, LGBTQ+, Black Lives Matter, immigrants, Stop Asian Hate. Oftentimes, though, we forget about the rights stripped away from American citizens who might have ended up in the prison system. Chloe, do you see a future where conversations around prison and criminal justice reform receive more support from the general public?
I do. I think, firstly, this country thrives off of trauma, specifically our trauma. So the idea that they would lead a path to healing for us, I think, is improbable. And so you see a lot of times it's people who are directly impacted that are creating these initiatives to give the help and support that you're talking about. I know one of them is Prison from the Inside Out, which is based in California. It's run by a woman named Porsche, and her husband was incarcerated. And through her program, she's been able to rehabilitate hundreds of people. She even helped, there was a case we helped called justiceforedrick.com that we're still working on. And he's actually still incarcerated, but created a program for other prisoners to find a path to rehabilitation. And I think thousands of inmates in California have participated in his programming. Again, he is the current inmate himself. We are having to pave these pathways for ourselves because we can never rely on the government at any local, state, federal, at any level to do it. And so you're seeing these examples in society that are really powerful. Mr. Hollis, Prison from the Inside Out, Edric Brown, and so many more.
And tell us what we can do to extend more support to cases like Chauncey's, to platforms like COMMUNITYx, to Prison from the Inside Out, which I wrote it down because I'm like, I need to reach out to her.
I'll connect you.
Yes, definitely. What can we do to extend more support?
Yeah, so I think firstly, with Mr. Hollis's case, him being released from prison is just the beginning of his journey to justice. And obviously, if anyone knows anything about his case, there's a huge civil lawsuit that is owed to him for every single minute of every single day that he spent in prison beyond the lawful sentence that he should have been given. And so we're going to update the free Big Hit website with those new demands. We're going to help him put on a press conference to propel that civil lawsuit forward for him. And then if anyone wants to get involved in any cases beyond this, you can always go to COMMUNITYx.com to learn more.
That's amazing. And Chauncey, I know you're teasing the music. What else can we look out for, and what would you like us to do to support you and your release?
Oh man, right now I'm just focused on this music. We're doing videos. We're already, I've only been out since Friday, but I completed my album in the first 3 days. Hit Boy is amazing. Like I say, I'm right there with him. He got an excessive amount of beats just on deck. I got an excessive amount of material that I need to get out, and we just been working, But as far as the other side, we're gonna be doing movies.
Okay.
Chloe, where can we follow you?
Our Instagram is @COMMUNITYx.
Okay. All right. Thank you so much. I will tell them to connect us via email. So you and I can stay in touch, and you can connect me with others, because this is going to be a new edition I add. So I'll be trying to do at least an interview a week to do what we're doing here, raise more awareness and gain more support, because this is important.
Well, thank you for doing that. And I have a bunch of connections that I'm ready to make. So
beautiful. All right. Enjoy the rest of your day, and best of luck with everything.